reach. It certainly wasn't going wide because I think Hugo's a smart enough guy to figure if something's wide and what to cover and what not to cover. But you could argue absolutely that he gave him a foot too much. He gave him just that little bit of freedom. He saw it. He took it. Not necessarily an error that has tripped us up in previous matches, but definitely something that we could have eradicated and held on for the win. I do want to point out, I thought the goal was well worked. I thought Harry bursting, because let's face it, Harry has been double and triple teamed so far this season and has been very, very quiet and had very few chances. And for him to muscle his way through the defenders that were there to get the ball out to Chadley, that was a well-worked move. And obviously, we're all made up to bits on Ali getting on the end of it. And it's a brave header. He could have got a boot in the face from Schmeichel, and it was a brave header going in that low right in the goal mouth, and it paid off. And I think we were all very excited that he scored and thought we could hang on at that point, whether it was deserved or not. Yeah. However, I don't think any of us felt as bad at the final whistle as we did the previous week, because that's certainly not like a draw that felt like a loss, because we didn't play any football up to the goal that warranted us walking away with the 3 points.
Yeah, you nailed it. We aren't playing football. And even in 2 and 3 player situations, there's no real continuity. There's a gigantic lack of speed. We moaned about that. That was noticeable against Stoke, and it carried on and continued. We signed a speedy player. He didn't even travel. I don't quite understand that. I thought his work permit issue was sorted. Maybe he's just not ready. It's a bit of a shame that we spend that much money on a player that's not ready, but maybe there's more to it than that. But more than anything else, what I managed to do this weekend, I managed to watch a lot of other Premier League games, and our lack of speed, our just level of standing around relative. Look, I watched the Arsenal-Liverpool match today, and both sides, movement is it's a clinic. It's this pass and immediate moving into open space, and we're so labored in what we do. And look, as we point around and we lay blame, I think everybody has to take some blame. We lamented that we didn't really seem to know how to break down 11 men last week. We were faced with somewhat of the same charge at times on Saturday, and we didn't do that. Now, I understand that players actually physically do that, but it's a coach's and a coach's staff's responsibility to teach how to do that. I get that it was really hot, and I get it's hard to press, and I get it's hard to be quick, but Leicester didn't seem to have a problem with doing that. And the one thing that really, and I think I may have mentioned this to you, we had 2 of those breaks, water breaks, if you will, because of the heat. And I thought, well, okay, surely now we'll have a change in play, because the managers, and I actually think that the Premier League should really prevent that from happening, from managers giving instruction and just letting players just purely have a water break. I'm surprised they don't do that. Yeah. But the coaches have a chance to instruct. And I thought, surely this is a wonderful opportunity, because they see what we're not doing, to correct it. And there was none of that.
It was a good old-fashioned timeout.
Yeah, where there was where that extra time and that extra ability to present the players with some more instruction either didn't get received or was failed to be given. And I think it was probably the latter.
And that's going to be one of our topics to put the spotlight on Poch a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. One of the things that I also picked up, and was a sense of frustration with us watching down the pub, was the amount of errant passes that went out of bounds. It was shocking. It was shocking. Just the passing in general, and the fouls that we gave up, and you could argue they were soft, but we seem to be giving away a lot of cheap fouls, particularly Davis. He gave away a couple that, and again, don't want to belittle the point whether they were legit or not, but they were fouls that were given and put us under undue pressure. And I'm still confused as to why, if Danny is carrying a knock, why he's on the bench.
It has to be more serious, right? It has to be.
Well, you're either fit or you're not fit. If you're not fit, you shouldn't be on the bench. So
right, I was a bit surprised that it was obvious that Mahrez' speed was too much to handle, right? And I'm just trying to think. In the second half, he absolutely abused Davies, didn't he? I mean, he really had a time with him. Because Mars was on the right side, wasn't he? Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And Davies just couldn't handle him. And it's not necessarily a knock on Davies. Mars is an exceptional player. I mean, he gave Jan fits. But I was surprised. I was surprised that okay, call on him. I mean, shut him down. You can't tell me that Rose is. But anyway, he wasn't brought on, and I don't quite understand it. And anyhow, so maybe we save the manager discussion for a little bit. I mean, Twitter is all in the Spurs community across multiple social media platforms is all aghast. We're late in the window. We still have critical needs that have not been addressed. The window physically ends. Is it Sunday night?
I think there is something on Monday. I've heard it's either finishing at midday or midnight. Normally it's midnight.
It is midnight, isn't it? Yeah.
Normally it's midnight GMT. I've heard midday, which that doesn't make any sense. I mean, how much productivity can you get from 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning to noon? We'll figure it out in all due course. It's we don't seem to do much until it is deadline day, which is obviously a sense of frustration, and the social media universe is gradually about to just explode.
Yeah, and it's been polarizing. I mean, for as many people as there are that are bashing Levy, bashing our tactics, there's many that are sort of picking up the charge for Daniel. But I'm going to make a very, very, very bold ITK claim. ITK meaning in the know. I am in the know, and here's what I know. Nobody knows. Nobody has a fucking clue, really, at the end of the day, what Monday or Tuesday morning is going to bring. Right. I mean, to give you a sense of why I say that, Berahino, who I steadfastly believe that we should have been where we are today 6 weeks ago, I just don't believe that he is that marquee of a player that we have to wait this late. I just can't believe, I just refuse for anybody to tell me that we couldn't have gone knocking on their door the first day of the transfer window and began this process. If Liverpool can get all of their business done, and I understand, and we've said it, look, late business is part of the window, but when you've got critical needs like we do, of the likes of, nary a central defensive CDM, and we don't have any cover for, we have one striker, those have to be addressed early, but they're not. And so here we are with Berahino, and we go from sort of being in a one-horse race, we're the only club that's going for him, and now Man United may steal him away. Who knows what's going to happen? We've been talking about Balazy, him,
Wanyama.
Wanyama now, because evidently either Bender doesn't want us or we don't want Bender, because Bender's not even starting at Dortmund now. Another development. So I don't think anybody knows. We all listen and follow and liaise with so many knowledgeable people, but all at the end of the day, we've all been wrong all summer long. Everybody has. Nobody knows.
All we know is Berahino's handed in a transfer request and West Brom have denied it. We do know that we did bid last week and they said we're not going to sell him at any price. Those are facts because there are statements that have said that. And that is literally all we do know. But again, some wags out there are insisting he was still going to get him by the deadline day. And by Monday, we've heard. Well, Monday's been and gone. So let's not hold our breath. We followed Spurs long enough to know that these things either happen or they don't happen, and I think everyone is really concerned right now. They're not going to happen, and I think we'll be in a world of shit if they don't happen, because to your point, we are very, very light in that central defensive midfield. We haven't figured out who's going to do it. Is it Dyer? Is it Bentaleb? Is it Mason? I mean, Bentaleb and Mason have not played together this season so far. It's been one or the other with Dyer. Yeah. And again, some of our listener questions are going to talk to this topic, so we'll save it for then. And Ali, where does he slot into this? I see him more as a forward fulfilling position midfielder than defensively minded. That's just my opinion.
Obviously, yeah, I totally agree with you.
He validated that on Saturday. And the question begs, did he do enough to warrant a start on Saturday against Everton? Against that other shower of shite that was out there? Probably yes.
Why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
He struck me as the only midfielder that ever seemed to have any intent about what
Right.
he was doing, and a
Full of
spirit,
confidence.
a willingness to a willingness and a desire to be forward. Taking a quick step back about all this late stuff. I mean, I think I've been pretty consistent about how I feel about this. I think late business is a part of the window, but I think it's just absolutely poor organization and poor strategy just to summarily say, well, we have to wait. That's just a load of bullshit. You just don't run a business that way.
No,
I don't
no.
care what business, I don't care what size. And there's other clubs that have got the majority or a great portion of their needs filled. But let me give you an example on Wanyama, why this is such a flawed philosophy. Southampton's already got rid of their boss, central defensive midfielder. So, and they knew that. They knew that earlier. They knew they were going to leave him, and they planned around it. But now you're going to tell me that they're going to lose their other boss,
Yeah.
central defensive midfielder? And if they do, what kind of a price would that be for? It'll be ludicrous. And secondly, I don't even think that price would even matter because how are they going to replace him?
Yeah, they don't have time.
Yeah, so, and even, so you could point to me and say, oh, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. But what I know is this, is that time, when you're running out of time, you run out of optionality. So if you start the process in the beginning, it doesn't matter if you fail. You've got loads of options. But now you're put in such a box. And the other thing was, as it relates to Sidos, is who else, what big club needs a striker? Man United does. And what else do they, and what do they have as surplus that West Brom needs? They have a defender, they have Johnny Evans. And so, all of a sudden, our discussions about giving them Freddie Fazio is on the skids. And so you leave yourself open to simply not having enough time and not having enough options. And then to think that it's arguably a coin flip, 50-50, that we could be starting next Tuesday with one striker, I'm sorry, but that's shambolic.
Yeah, as I was making my notes for tonight's show, it reminded me of the 2008-2009 season where Berbatov was doing exactly what Berahino's doing. Well, Berbatov got his move, and it was so late in the window. And I think that happened on deadline day or certainly around that time. And it left us in a huge bind. What did we get in return? 30 million quid and Fraser Campbell.
Yeah.
Who was going to partner with Darren Bent.
Yeah.
And we were woefully short. We'd lost Keane, and then we lost Berbatov. We'd already sold Defoe 6 months earlier in the January transfer window. And we all know that as soon as Harry took over, when one day got the tin tack, we brought back two of those strikers because clearly Harry figured it out. And is this going to go the same way, that we're going to be stuck with Harry Kane and we're going to have to eat some crow and put Adebayor back into the team because that's the only option we have?
Well, I'm a pretty rational-minded guy, and I always like to believe that there's sort of three sides to every story, right? One, your side, my side, and the truth lies somewhere in between. And for the life of me, and I've always, I think I've been supportive of Levy as a businessman, but for the life of me, I like to do myself as a logical businessman myself. I cannot come up with substantive reasons as to why we do this. We give up so much leverage, we give up so much optionality, and we put ourselves in such a pickle. And all of this, look at United, look at Arsenal, I just don't believe that. The majority of these clubs have most of their heavy.
Well, even the mid-table teams have done their business. Crystal Palace have done their business. West Brom, if there's not pressure for them to sell Berahino, they've done their business. They brought in Ricky Lambert and Rondon. I mean, they brought in more strikers than us. They've got more strikers than us. So it is shocking. And I think having watched the Chelsea West Brom game yesterday, Pulis is on the money in saying that this transfer window needs to be shut before the season starts because we've wasted 3 games already by not being able to play to the potential that this season should be planned towards. And
yeah, I just don't know how you do it though, with so many different leagues and so many having different starting dates. I think that's the challenge.
I certainly get that, but
no, I agree.
They've all started now, right? Italy hasn't started yet. This weekend.
I'm not entirely sure. I know Spain started this past weekend.
Spain started this weekend. Yeah. I think the Germans are in their second weekend.
We've made we've made the comments in the past that hey, look, blame can be pointed in a lot of different spots, and so we've spent time